And here's to you, DeMarcus Robinson. Put that touchdown in the pantry with your cupcakes. RamView.
It's hot out there. Let's blow off the last screen. Headline, Los Angeles.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView, the November 4th, 2024 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident? Need help? Got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues, get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. And of course, by Bench the app. Never take a goose egg, never get a zero for your fantasy team by leaving a non-starting player in the lineup. Download Bench the app today and make that a thing of the past. All right. First, sorry, I'm a half hour late. I had to deal some domestic issues. I had a plumber in the house who was doing a great job for me, and I needed to take care of that first. Of course, we want to talk about DeMarcus Robinson, right? Cuckoo-cuckoo, DeMarcus Robinson, right? Our season turned its lonely eyes to you, and he just had a spectacular game, spectacular catch. But I know everyone's gone there, and I don't want to rehash the whole game because you've had 24 hours to do it. Just want to give you some thoughts on it. Oh, and by the way, when I'm asking and I'm sharing thoughts, no score updates, please. I understand I'm not going to have as big a crowd live tonight because you're all watching Kansas City and Tampa Bay. I want to watch it too. So I don't care if you watch this late. I don't care if I don't get my live numbers and everything. I just want to be able to watch it and kind of know what's going to happen. Does that make sense? I think I said it right. All right. Right off the top for the Rams. Ugly game. They pulled it out. This is the game they lose in Chicago a month ago, but they've won now, right? Boom. So everything's good. But it's Matthew Stafford, right? Matthew Stafford, just unbelievable. He's just unbelievable with the throws he makes. Now, the pass to Tyler Johnson, the one before the one to Atwell and before the game winner to D-Rob, he throws it into triple coverage. All of our mouths drop. And not only does he have the courage to make that throw to Tyler Johnson, but it just demonstrates that he absolutely trusted Tyler Johnson to make that catch. And Johnson went in there and made that catch. Now, again, where would you place Johnson on the depth chart right now, right? If everyone's healthy, the Rams have 6 receivers. Where would you put him? Now, we know Nakua, that ridiculous, where he got bounced. The officiating was horrible yesterday. I'm still trying to find that pass interference penalty. I think it was on Nakua, not on Nakua, on Witherspoon. Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal. But where does Tyler Johnson rank in the depth chart, right? Nakua and Kupp, we know that. We know D-Rob is number 3, okay? Atwell has that small role. He's the burner. Whittington is the kid that's getting all the love right now, right? But he's been banged out. And so Tyler Johnson is either the 5th or 6th receiver on this roster if everyone's healthy. And who was the guy that Stafford trusted? I mean, he trusts all of them, but he didn't have any lack of trust in the 6th or 5th receiver on this roster. D-Rob, because he's the only one that's been healthy, has played 466 snaps. Atwell's played 255 snaps. Whittington, 190 rookie. He's been hurt. Otherwise, his snap count would be higher. And we know Kupp and Nakua have just come back. Johnson has 252 snaps, but I just rattled off everybody who would be ahead of Tyler Johnson. And yet in that throw into triple coverage, he makes that throw to Tyler Johnson. And it looks like a for certain pick. Like I said, we're watching it and our mouths dropped. And that was just unbelievable. And the other thing I loved about that was McVay's absolute trust in his quarterback, that relationship they have. Because I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, my answer to everything generally is pound it, right? Pound it, pound it, pound it, because you can control pounding it, right? If you want it more than the other guy, that's the thing beautiful about football, is that if you want it more than the other guy, you can get that push. And it doesn't matter necessarily about your ballet and your technique in terms of pass protection, which really does require some talent. But if you're just a a nasty cuss and a guy that just wants to bang somebody, you can get a push. And so my answer is pound it, pound it, pound it. No, again, by the way, pound it. And instead of playing it safe, right? We'll get into that, why the Seahawks went for it on fourth down there in overtime. McVay comes out and completely trusts Stafford. Stafford makes a throw that one of the guys I follow on Rams Rule, that's a Rams message board, but I see him on Twitter now, Youngblood53. He breaks down a lot of film, and he broke down the idea that if you look at it, Stafford might have made a no-look throw. Now, I don't know if it was exactly a no-look. It looked like he looked off people, and then went to him. But again, it was just an amazing, amazing throw. The Rams have an elite quarterback. And the idea of moving off of him, the idea of, I'm sick about the day he retires. You can grab Shedeur Sanders, who's listed as the best quarterback college prospect this year. I wouldn't want Shedeur Sanders. One, I don't want all the baggage Shedeur has. He has a lot of talent, but I wouldn't want his baggage. You're just not going to find another guy like Stafford. And it's about time. The guy had to play 15 years in the NFL, 16 years in the NFL before somebody recognizes this guy is an all-time talent that had to suffer for 13 years in Detroit. And it's amazing now, and it's wonderful now that he's getting his due because we're seeing it. Also, I want to make a note here about the Rams' offensive line, how it pertains to Stafford. Stafford had been sacked 16 times in the first 5 games. In the first 5 games, he had been sacked 16 times. That's an average of 3 times a game. In the last 3 weeks, he's been sacked once. In fact, in the last 2 weeks, he hasn't been sacked at all. Now, less than superior offensive line, a little below average offensive line. No shots at Lim or Adidich. They're doing the best they can, but it's not the Detroit offensive line, right? It's probably not the Atlanta offensive line, but the continuity along the offensive line does have something to do with Stafford staying upright and not being sacked in the last 2 weeks and only sacked once the last 3 weeks. But I will also credit this. Much of that is because of Stafford's ability to process and get rid of the ball. And as things have progressed with our receivers coming back and getting healthy, he knows those guys, he's familiar with those guys, and they can create separation, and he's able to throw with better anticipation. Again, we know D-Rob's not a number one. He's not going to get separation. We know that about Tyler Johnson. But we're seeing that, of course, with Nakua, and not much yesterday, but Cup. So you're seeing Stafford even getting better. And now the possibility of some of those troops on that offensive line returning, this is exciting. But Stafford is just absolutely unbelievable elite, right? And I like Kurt Warner. I really do. I don't want to upset our St. Louis people. I like Kurt Warner, but as I understand, every year you get older, you grow up, you understand the game a little bit better. I understand more about football today than I did yesterday, right? That's how it's got to be. It's like, let me use my pastor analogy. You got to know more about your faith today than you did 10 years ago. You can't remain stagnant. And while I appreciate everything Kurt Warner did, now that I've come to understand the game better, spent 20 years writing about the game, Stafford's just unbelievable. Stafford's a great quarterback. And I don't think he has to have another Super Bowl run to get that gold coat. He should be getting that gold coat no matter what. But I do think he has another Super Bowl run or 2 left in him if he could stay healthy and we can keep him upright. Okay, other Rams stuff here. The defense. How do you like Chris Shula now, right? How do you like Chris Shula now? That one is pretty amazing how people talk about Chris Shula. Remember, Chris Shula was the devil incarnate. I think you guys would have taken Damian Thorne before you took Chris Shula. Literally the Antichrist before you took Chris Shula as DC after the first 2 weeks. But how do you like him now? We talked about this, and I think others did too, but I want to say we all talked about it here, is that we knew this defense was going to get better. And look what Verse and Young are doing now. They're finishing on some of these plays. Fisk is finishing on these plays. And that last one on fourth down was absolutely amazing. I don't know what they're saying. And see, I meant to listen to Seahawk talk today, and I didn't get a chance to. But I'm thinking my defense, if I'm Seattle, my defense has played really well. The Rams have had to grind for everything all day. Everything, right? And they only scored 13 points, right? The other one was a gift from Geno to Cam Kitchens. I kicked the field goal. Especially when I know how cruddy my offensive line is, right? You talk about Rams woes. The Seahawks have woes along that offensive line. And you understand when Jared Verse was doing his thing, he's doing his thing against Charles Cross, who's their left tackle, who's rated as a top 10 tackle right now by Pro Football Focus. He's the number 1 draft pick. He's a good left tackle, and Jared Verse was eating him up, let alone what was happening on the other side with the 6th round pick. And McDonald decided to go for it. And then when they went for it, he didn't take the shortest distance between 2 points. He tried to stretch it out and go wide. And again, I mentioned Youngblood53 on Twitter. If you follow him. If you're not on Rams Rule, follow him on Twitter or X, and you just learn a little bit more each time. I really like he makes these little short breakdowns and everything. And I love it because he'll tell me when I'm wrong. It's good. It's a healthy thing. It's a good thing to hear. We need to be told when we're wrong sometimes. And he broke down that 4th and 1 stop in OT. He did it, I think, about a half hour, an hour after the game, someplace in there. I saw it. And he points out that if you look at that play, slow it down or just hit pause as you're watching it, it shows Byron Young, who's had struggles, right? He's had struggles holding the edge. Sometimes that's one of his weaknesses. He holds the edge. He makes sure that Walker has to turn inside. And then you see Bobby Brown, who we'll talk about Bobby Brown in a little bit here. Bobby Brown makes the play, and then you see Spates shoot the gap or shoot the opening there and provide the last part. I think he was basically in on the tackle. Here's the funny thing about Spates. Spates played 5 snaps yesterday on defense, and he's in there, right? He played 5 snaps. Here's the other interesting thing. Speaking of who was in there, Nick Hampton was in there. Nick Hampton had that deflection. Nick Hampton played 3 snaps. Those are the first 3 defensive snaps Nick Hampton's played all year, pretty much. And when you look at the 11 players that were on the field on that 4th and 1 in a game, because Arizona beat the Bears, that really hurt, man, because Arizona's picking off wins against teams they should have lost to. They should have lost to the Bolts. They should have lost to the Dolphins. They should have lost to the Bears, right? The Bears are in a hangover from that Washington game. And we need the Cardinals to lose some games here, and they haven't. They keep picking them off. In fact, they look better against the Bears than just about anybody, with the exception of the Rams in week 2. So the Rams needed this win. They couldn't afford to go 2 games back of the Cardinals with 1 game between them left. And, it wouldn't have been good at all. Then the Rams would have been 1-2 in the division, and then in 3rd place at the moment, right? It just wouldn't have worked out, or it would have been back in last place, I think, because the 49ers are 4-4. So on that play, it's 4th and 1. McDonald, the Seahawk head coach, decides to go for it, and he stretches it out. Big mistake. Instead of going bang, bang. And instead of kicking the field goal that would have put them up 23-20, and then at worst, he would have had the Rams in a position where all I got to do is prevent a touchdown on an offense that's had to grind for everything today. And instead, he went for it, didn't make it. On the field on that play was, of course, Byron Young on the edge. It was Tyler Davis, rookie, 6th round pick. So you had Young, who was a 3rd round pick. He was there. Tyler Davis, a 6th round pick. Bobby Brown, who's a 4th round pick. You had Kobe Turner, a 3rd round pick. You had Nick Hampton, a 5th round pick, with hardly played at all. Christian Roseboom, an undrafted free agent. Omar Spates, an undrafted free agent. Quentin Lake, a 6th round pick. Michael Hoyt, undrafted free agent. And then Braden Fisk, who was a number 2 pick. I mean, pretty well spent. Remember, people were complaining about Rams moving up from 51 to 39, and they moved up for Fisk. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The Rams, they were on the field in the biggest play of the season at this point. That really, truly was the biggest play to stop the Seahawks there. And now we're 4-4, and we're just still that 1 game back of the Cardinals instead of a disastrous 3 games. Geez, guys, I didn't know I was going to get an audience here. I'm sorry. I just saw the questions piling up. Okay, real quick. Let me look at those questions real quick because I appreciate you guys being here, and I was late. So Tim Burns, Robinson eased up on the 10 and bumped his defender off position for that great catch. Oh, man. And where was the pass interference penalty on that one, too? Wasn't the guy holding his arm? Tim Burns, Puka, not Puka, sorry. When he drops a touchdown pass in the Super Bowl, I call him Puka. Puka was a beast, such heart. I thought it was a cheap ejection. Brian Smith, the D needs to do a better job of wrapping up, missing way too many tackles. You know, Brian, I'll agree with you, but they're not missing as many as they used to. All right. We've seen the improvement, right? We've seen the improvement, a young team maturing. And if everyone stays healthy, where's this defense going to be in week 17 and week 18? That should really have our division opponents a little leery right now, because there's speed, there's youth, and there's strength, right? And this narrative now, man, this Rams team is becoming a very physical team. I just hope they don't, we just hope they don't get too many ejections for how physical they are. Tim Burns, McCullough, 4 interceptions in 5 games, and he's barely played 100 snaps. I think he had 47 snaps on defense coming into this week, and he played 58 this week. So, yeah, score, undrafted free agent out of Tennessee. I heard Colin Cowherd today acknowledge that Jalen McCullough was an undrafted free agent out of Tennessee. I'm going to say the guy ripped off our show. There we go. We were ahead of Colin Cowherd. Tim Burns, Kitchens finally earned his paycheck. It was beautiful. Yes, it was. And, this is what Kitchens did at Miami. We just want to see more of that Kitchens and less of the Taylor Rapp Kitchens. And that's why he was benched. But, he stepped up. Cam Curl was banged up. JJ's gone. He stepped up. Now, he got a lot of help from Geno on those plays, but he made those plays. And he didn't drop it before he crossed the goal line, right? Michael Negretti, Fearsome Foursome 2, the new nickname. Fearsome Foursome 2.0, right? There we go. Hey, I ain't going to complain. Tim Burns, how do you go for it on 4th and 1 in an OT? Bad decision. You take the points. If the Rams had been lighting up the field, moving up and down like they did eventually on that last drive, maybe I am going for a touchdown. But his defense, that secondary for Seattle, played great. It really did. They got away with a few things too. They played great. And they weren't getting any sacks on Stafford, but they were getting pressure, and the Rams really couldn't run the ball. I think Kyron Williams averaged 3 yards a carry, 22 carries, 69 yards. And so, yeah, I imagine he's taking heat. I got to get on Seahawk Talk and hear what they're saying about him right now. Brian Smith, offsides foursome is more fitting. Absolutely. He got I think it was Jonathan Vilma kept talking about it yesterday on the broadcast. He kept getting them. Geno kept getting them with the hard counts. That didn't bother me as much, as I think both of those big plays late in the first half were a result of the secondary saw the flags and then let up and then let those Seahawk receivers get behind them, Lockett and Jackson Smith-Njigba, right? And so, yeah, those were some brain dead moments. I guess from what I heard, there was some yelling in the locker room at halftime that kind of cleaned things up in the second half. Rams played some sloppy ball yesterday. It was hard to watch. I agree. And it felt like the Bears game to me. It felt like the Bears game a month ago. But again, I think we're seeing some of our guys being back, and we're seeing improvement on the defense. And so it wasn't too hard, right? Tim Burns, what are we doing with Noteboom? Well, I put Noteboom on the trade block. I didn't consult Les Snead, but I put the Noteboom on the trade block this last week. And now we don't know right now because Havenstein turned his ankle. He's out for week 10 against the Dolphins on Monday night. But he said it wasn't IR worthy, and so it might not be too serious. So right tackle, where Warren McClendon is most at home. We know Warren McClendon can't play left tackle, but Warren McClendon's most at home at right tackle. He came in and did a solid job. He played 19 snaps, did a solid job. You didn't even know he was there, right? You didn't even know he was there. And you look at the PFF, which is, but I thought the grading for the Rams offensive line was pretty good this week. It mirrored what we saw. Or do you put Noteboom there? I'm leaning towards McClendon, actually. That's what I'm leaning. And then, of course, good news. They talked about Avila and Jonah Jackson entering their window. But I think you hold on to Noteboom now, right? I think you hold on to him. Brian Smith, Rams were going to score 7 in overtime anyway. you don't know. I mean, did you know that? Because they were playing sloppy ball, right? Did you know that? And so I hear what you're saying. But I'd have kicked that field goal and trust my defense because up to that point, they'd only given up 13 points to the Rams. Rod, what's up, Joe? Go Rams. Thank you for being with us, Rod, especially when Monday Night Football is going on and I'm late to the party. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I do appreciate it. Okay, Tim Burns, Saquon is rejuvenating his career. What a move, the backward splits, leap over a defender. Yeah, I've never been a Saquon fan, but you know what? He's playing MVP level. He's carrying the Eagles right now. He really is. He's carrying the Eagles, and he's doing a lot of help there for Jalen Hurts. I love the name they gave Devonta Smith. I didn't hear this one before. They call him the Slim Reaper. And that catch he made, it was almost D-Rob worthy, right? It was almost D-Rob worthy, not quite D-Rob worthy. Michael Negretti, Brian Smith, the defense is young and still learning. Give me a break. They looked good. They got better. Rod, looking like Avila and Jackson coming back soon. Yeah, from your lips to God's ears, right? Brian Smith, poor tackling has nothing to do with being young. Give me a break. I think they have improved. I think Brian, I do think they had to get up to an NFL speed. And I think I'll be all in on you in week 17. If they repeat the performance that they had against Kyler Murray in week 2, if they repeat that performance, I'll be all in on you. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they've took a breath and they're starting to make their plays. That's just my thought, though. I welcome an opinion differing than mine. That's okay. We learn when people differ with us. Rod, Stafford is a dog, a big dog, absolutely. Tim Burns, my one downer is we give up a lot of long plays and some on 3rd and long. We gave up 400-plus yards, but clamped down with Kitchens 2 picks in the fourth quarter red zone ints. INTs. Again, those plays in the first half, that was the Rams went off sides. I think the defenders saw the ball and saw the flags and they let up. I do have to say this. The one that went over the Jigba track down, it was a beautiful pass, beautiful catch. And the touchdown pass that tied it up, I was furious because I couldn't find anything to complain about. Geno throws a perfect pass. Geno Smith is not a chump. He's not perfect, but he's not a chump. Infamous M. Thank you. I haven't seen you before, Infamous. Thank you for joining us. Do you think the Rams get anything for Trey White? I don't think so. I see Trey White asking for his release because somebody will probably say, hey, man, if they release you, we'll sign you. That's my guess. And the Rams are so accommodating to people they like, they would probably do that. It's basically, because it's not my money, it's no harm, no foul if we release him. I'd love to get a 7th-round pick. Rams could use a 7th-round pick. They don't have a 7th-round pick in this upcoming draft. Steve Ramirez. Stafford reminds me of Stabler. In fact, he might make mistakes at times, but with the game on the line, very few are better. Yeah, Stabler with a better arm. Yeah, I think there's a lot to that. I call it PTDS, post-traumatic Detroit syndrome. I think he lapses into that where he still thinks he's in Detroit and he flashes back and he feels like he has worse things in the moment. And I think you still see that a little bit in him. I guess you could say gunslinger, but that's what I see. Brian Smith, grind is an understatement. There you go. Tim Burns, college note, Boise State, running back Ashton Jennings steamrolled SDSU and is an NFL prospect, 259 yards at Washington, 192, 7th-ranked Oregon. He's a beast. Yeah, and I was thinking about your Aztecs getting worked up there in Idaho or against Boise. Mike Negretti, I agree with you on tackling, Mr. Smith, but let's grow as a team. I believe the team is going to get better. I think they do too. You think we get Vita Vea if the Bucs lose tonight, Joe? Well, McVay didn't sound too promising. He didn't sound too promising about the team making a deal that this might be the herd they want to run with, right? That's what it sounded like in his interview, in his post game, it was today, I think it was, and so, yeah, I don't think Vita Vea is coming. I don't. Steve Ramirez, Richard Sherman on his podcast liked the decision to go for it, just not the play call. I thought it was dumb. I'm sure there's an analytic component to that. I'm sure there is, but I mean, Steve, you watched a lot of football, all you guys, Brian, Tim, Rod, All you guys, I'm sure Infamous, you've probably watched, a lot of you guys have watched a lot of football. USA Expat, you all have watched a lot of football. What did you think? Because to me, I'm looking at it, your defense is stopping the Rams. To that point, you had stopped the Rams. And, you got to get some points, because if you don't get it, then all the Rams needed was a field goal to win. So my feeling was at that point, and then the call, I thought the call was terrible too. You got to take the 3. You got to take the 3. Tim Burns, I watched the C. Hoochie's fan today screaming, who was Geno throwing to? Hey, that was brutal, right? Geno giveth and Geno taketh away. He could look brilliant, but we know why he's Geno Smith. A little bit better than Geno Smith we thought the narrative was on him 5 years ago, but he's still Geno Smith, right? He's not Stafford, right? And that's the great thing when you see somebody matched up on the same field, you go, oh, that guy's not Stafford, right? Oh, that guy's not Mahomes. Baker Mayfield, don't tell me anything. I'm going to watch the game. But Baker Mayfield's had a really good year. But you're going to see Baker Mayfield on the field tonight. And I know he's missing receivers, but you're going to go, he's had a good year. Oh, yeah, he's not Mahomes, right? He's not Mahomes. Brian Smith, Seattle tried to copy Detroit running the ball down the D's throat. Only problem, Seattle doesn't have the personnel to do it. Absolutely not. They do not. Favorite part of the pick six was watching the coaches, players' reactions on the sideline. You should have been with me when I saw that they were going to flag. What's his name? Was it Byron Young for a block in the back? And then you saw the highlight. You go, what? Mercifully, they picked up the flag. Yeah, I was losing it. Brian Smith, UNLV shut Genty down. All right, we got a rebel in the house in Brian Smith. Tim Burns, Brian, the rookies just need to slow down and not overrun tackles. They're getting there. Brian Smith, just keeping it real, folks. Had we lost yesterday, this narrative would be a lot different. If we had lost yesterday, you probably would have been looking at me through a cracked screen. That's how angry I was getting. I just feel it building up, right? Rod, it was piffing me off in the first half because we were giving the Seahawks so many opportunities. Yeah, and the Rams were blowing opportunities, right? They were just blowing opportunities. Tim Burns, Kupp looks healthy. Did you hear? I didn't pick up on it in the game. I'm not saying I saw it. Did you hear McVay credit Kupp for getting that seal block on that final on that throw for the touchdown when Stafford rolled out? That was great. That's why you got Cooper Kupp, right? Because he can block, right? Brian Smith, Stafford played well and when it mattered. Was hoping McVay would go more run heavy in the second half. Hey, we think alike, right? My answer to everything is pound it, right? Just pound it. Thomas Huxley, you guys won because Geno Smith sucks. There are times he does suck. I get it. I understand what you guys are feeling. I do, because it's like, where was he going, man? Where was he going? All right, the Rams had 7 sacks. Braden Fisk had 2. Kobe Turner had 1. Jared Verse felt like he had a dozen. Quentin Lake, Byron Young, all had sacks, and Hoyt and Tyler Davis shared 1, right? This is the part that I thought was amazing. Looking at the Rams defense, Verse played 69 sacks, had a sack, 69 snaps and had a sack. Jalen McCullough, 56 snaps, got a pick, his 4th of the season. And then you had Fisk, 49 snaps, 2 sacks. Kitchens, 41 snaps, 2 picks. Tyler Davis, 20 snaps and a half sack. All those guys are rookies. They're all rookies. And then you take in second-year players, Kobe Turner, 59 snaps and a sack. And he had a great game yesterday, but you wouldn't know it looking at PFF. And then Byron Young, 55 snaps and a sack. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players right there who were with the team from just last year's draft to this year's draft, and including Jalen McCullough. Now, Jalen McCullough was interesting because when you looked at it, Christian Roseboom played 78 snaps, and he played a pretty good game. I mean, for Christian Roseboom, who's a glorified special teamer. But if you looked at the creativity and the flexibility here, Omar Spates only played 5 snaps. Jake Hummel only played 7 snaps. That's only 12 snaps combined. So what else were the Rams doing out there? Well, Jalen McCullough, that heavy safety kind of guy, 56 snaps, 39 of those snaps were in the box. Kobe Durant played 16 snaps in the box. And they really used Quentin Lake. 80 snaps. He played every snap, 2 on the line, 17 in the box, 14 at slot corner. And you just see the creativity, what the Rams are doing by moving personnel around. And I wonder who that guy is that's doing that, right? How do you feel about Chris Shula now, right? And last note about Bobby Brown, right? I mentioned how Youngblood 53 on Twitter pointed this out, and you slow it down and you see it. It almost looks like Walker's past him, and he corrals him, and then Spates comes in and lowers the boom. Brown, when you think, has had 2 really good weeks and a great month overall, if you look at it. And I'm just wondering, right, is that, this is probably why the Rams wouldn't go after Vita Vea, because they think Bobby Brown has come of age a little bit. What did Vanessa Williams sing? Sometimes the very thing you're looking for is the one thing you can't see. It's hard to miss Bobby Brown at 330 spins, but if he can just take up this game just a tiny bit more, I'm sure we would all feel a lot better. Now, the Seahawks offensive line stinks, but Walker's a good running back. And again, where's all the Chris Shula talk now? The secondary's hiccups in the first half can be attributed to them brain freezing on those plays. It cooled down a little bit in the second half. JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba was off the charts. And again, Geno can play. He made some great throws, especially with the one that tied the game. But Geno's going to Geno. And then the penalties were ridiculous. I'm kind of wondering about that last play of regulation. They threw the flag and they picked it up. But if you see the highlights, it's how did D-Rob's hat go all the way back and kind of fluctuate on his head when he was in the air if he wasn't hitting the helmet, right? But they picked that up. Tight end was interesting. Colby Parkinson didn't get a target. He played 36 snaps. Hunter Long played 26. Davis Allen played 42 snaps. And Davis Allen, for him, which is not his long suit, he had a really good day blocking. You block for McVay at tight end, it's going to work for you. Offensive line, Havenstein out a week with an ankle sprain, not going on IR. Noteboom is supposed to be back this week. We've got the extra day, Monday, to play the Dolphins on Monday night at SoFi. And McVay indicated Avila and Jonah Jackson could be back Monday night as well. The grades, I thought, reflected really well. I thought Alaric Jackson, again, no sacks, did really well. Alaric Jackson had a good game. Havenstein was having a really solid game. Warren McClendon came in, and PFF actually graded him 71 pass blocking, 70 run blocking. I thought he had a good game. Kevin Dotson did a Kevin Dotson thing. He wasn't great in pass protection, but good in running. That's kind of Dotson's MO. Bo Limmer had probably his best graded game of the year. Dedich struggled a little bit, but he got the job done. And now if you bring Avila back, you got Avila going in at left guard. And yeah, you got it. You paid the money for Jonah Jackson. You got to put Jonah Jackson back in there. And you go Alaric Jackson, Avila, Jonah Jackson, and Kevin Dotson. That's not bad. And then you got McClendon or Noteboom at right tackle. And McClendon has played well at right. He's played competently at right tackle. Like I said, we saw what he's like at left tackle, but at right tackle, he's not too bad. Rams schedule going forward, you got the Dolphins, the best 2-6 team in football. Tua has played well in 2 games back. So that offense is starting to click. And they got close in Buffalo. They got close. So you can't look at them like they're a 2-6 team. This game is not a layup, but it's Monday night, and it's also in SoFi. The offensive line for the Dolphins is not great, and we're feeling our oats now in our front 7, right? We're feeling our oats in our front 7. Patriots, then after that, 2-7. Drake May will be the guy. Rams can't fall asleep on them. They need to win that one. The Eagles come to SoFi and never been overly impressed by Saquon until now. That's one to watch. Eagles are 6-2, but it's a precarious 6-2. Saints, New Orleans is burning. Kick Dennis Allen to the curb, and they're 2-7. Bills are a good team, but the Dolphins showed they're mortal, and that'll be it. I don't think the Eagles or the Bills. I think the Rams could lose those games, but I don't think those are going to be blowouts, right? I'm trying to keep everything in perspective here, but I think the Rams could win those games, and we'll see what it looks like. 49ers were on bye. Christian McCaffrey and John Feliciano hit their window, so they're expecting them back against Tampa Bay next week in the morning slot. And then the Jets, can Aaron do us a solid? Rams play the Jets week 16 in New York. but they get the Cardinals next week. And so, maybe Aaron can do us a solid. And then Cardinals week 17 and Seattle on bye this week. We get them in week 18. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Help me here. I'm sorry, guys. You guys all came rolling in. Thanks. I appreciate you guys doing this. Hold on. I want to see where the questions are. Sports fans are so bipolar. Oh, yeah. I was up and down all over the charts yesterday. Tommy Huxley trolled us for years. I believe it. Rod, I honestly think this team can see the Lions in the NFC Championship if we stay healthy. If we stay healthy and everyone comes back and the defense keeps progressing, I think so. This is why this weekend I was rooting for Detroit. I don't want to have to go to Lambeau, right? And Lambeau, they've got their own problems right now. They tried to stick Jordan Love out there when he wasn't healthy. And, right, let's accept the fact we lost to Detroit. I'll go to Detroit because if the Rams have to go to Detroit and play indoors, or they got to go to Minnesota and play indoors, I'll live with all that. Rams could put up with noise. They put up with Seattle. The Rams, every game's a whole road game for the Rams. I don't want to play in the weather, too bad of weather, and I don't want to go to Chicago. Soldier Field's a house of horrors, right? But the Rams have a shot at this. They really, really do. Tommy Huxley, I haven't trolled anyone. I like this channel. Tommy, we're glad you're here. Thank you. I appreciate you being here. Tommy Huxley, shut up, Rams own South Carolina. Nobody is talking to you. Okay. All right. Brian Smith and Tommy, correct. Tim Burns, I love the breakdown, Joe T, of where the players are and of the snaps. It shows where they are effective. Nice job. Well, thank you very much. I try. Tommy Huxley, that one-handed catch and pass was legit. Unbelievable. It was a perfect pass by Stafford. It was a great catch by D-Rob as he's being molested out there, at the goal line by the defensive back. Let's see. Michael Negro, let's see here. Rod, you think we trade for a tight end? I actually got that in my notes, Chief. I was going to bring that up after the break, but I'll bring it up now. Everyone's talking to Njoku from Cleveland, but I've constantly had this taught to me or preached to me, and I'll let you guys correct me if you've heard anything different. They say playing tight end for Sean McVay and his system is one of the most difficult things to do. And look how long the Rams have stuck with Tyler Higbee. Since 2016, since he was drafted. I mean, that's a lifetime in the NFL now, right? So this would be Tyler Higbee's 9th season in the NFL, and the Rams have stuck with him. They've extended him. They drafted him before Gerald Everett, and Everett was gone, and they extended Higbee. And so Higbee's got it figured out. I think it's a while for some of these other tight ends to really figure out what McVay wants. We know you got to block. And so my feeling was if they trade for Njoku, when's he going to be really ready to contribute the way McVay wants him to contribute, right? To me, it would be so late in the year, he wouldn't have much of an effect. And if something happens, you don't make the playoffs, then you're waiting until next year. So I don't know about Njoku. I'm not so hot on that one. I know people are talking about it. Michael Negretti, Genti had 128 yards against UNLV and the win. That's not a shutdown, maybe a slowdown. Brian Smith, Tommy Huxley owns the Sea Donkeys. Okay. He definitely does, Brian. Okay. McVay has great hair, unlike me. Boom. Tim Burns, vote my Ramily. I am sick of $6 gas. Okay. Brian, so gas is $3 naturally. Okay. I live in California, but Tommy Huxley, Woolen gave Robinson the perfect shove on the game winner, pushed him into the ball. Did you notice it? All I was screaming was he's being held. And even when the touchdown happened, I was still hoping to see the flag because you never know, right? They're going to come up with something. He didn't control the ball. Rams own SC. Tommy, you're a scrub. Okay. Tribe. Tommy is. Okay. All right. We're getting personal here. Lighten up, guys. Let's have some fun. All right. Around the NFL and other places, Dak Prescott injured and lost with hamstring in the loss to the Falcons. Cowboys, right? Tire fire. Absolutely, right? CeeDee Lamb sprained shoulder, and they're playing the Eagles in Dallas. They're going to get their butts kicked in Dallas. I don't think they've won a home game this year, right? You know who Jerry Jones looks like? He looks like that rich old man you see in all the disasters movies that refuses to acknowledge that the volcano is going to blow, and he's sitting in his wheelchair and say, nope, I'm staying here, and then he dies, right? That's what he seems like with Jerry Jones. It's like Rome is burning, Chief, right? I made a note here about the Saquon Barkley back hurdle. No, I've never seen anything like that at all. I hope the guy stays healthy because he's an MVP candidate for me right now. He's absolutely been fantastic. Raiders clean house on 3 coaches. I mentioned their names because I don't know if you want them joining the Rams staff anytime soon. Maybe they go to Seattle, maybe they go to Arizona, maybe they go to Frisco. But Luke Getsy looks like his career is taking a real downturn. He got canned. Quarterback coach Rich Scangarello and offensive line coach James Craig. Antonio Pierce, I think, is on borrowed time. I really do. Because I can't figure it out. Wasn't Luke Getsy his hire? Or did Telesco force it on him? I'm kind of curious what the thing is there. Did he let the head coach make the decision and the head coach chose this guy and then he fires him mid-year? That's not a good look. We've mentioned that Frisco has designated Christian McCaffrey and John Feliciano to return. Jaguars released former 49ers safety Deshaun Gibson. Remember him? And Detroit has reinstated wide receiver, or the NFL has reinstated Detroit wide receiver Jameson Williams. Let's see here. Coaches on the hot seat. We nailed Saleh. We nailed Dennis Allen. In fact, we wondered if Allen was going to get Kiffined in Carolina. If he wasn't Kiffined there, he got hit as soon as he got off the plane back in NOLA. Up on the list right now is Matt Eberflus because they are not happy there in Chicago. If you heard Caleb Williams talk about how the team didn't let go of what happened in Washington, that wasn't good. So I'd put him on the list. You got Mike McCarthy, who he seems like he got a vote of confidence from Jerry, but we don't know. Doug Peterson, he's one that's got to be building on that hot seat. Nick Sirianni, I think he's one really bad loss from really going high on the hot seat. Something, if he loses to Dallas, which I can't see it happening, but if he loses to Dallas, boy, it's going to be lit under his keister big time. And Gerard Mayo in New England, I think New England's going to ignore everything. And then maybe there's going to be somebody that speaks to Bob Kraft and say, you got to go somewhere else, right? You got to go somewhere else than Gerard Mayo. Playoffs, let's look at the division leaders in the NFC. Lions, Texans, Falcons. I don't see anybody. I mean, the Eagles could derail the Texans, but I think the Texans are better. I think it might be their youth that derails them. But these guys and the Falcons, no one in the South is going to catch the Falcons. And right now, the Lions have put a stranglehold on the NFC North. Cardinals, they're the division leaders right now, 5-4. The Rams have to have their eyes on. The wild card, Vikings are 6-2. We were rooting for the Colts last night, but the Vikings took care of the Colts at home. Vikings have lost 2 games, one's to the Rams. They're going to Jacksonville this week, so they're going to be 7-2. Eagles are 6-2. They play the Rams in week 12, and they're going to Dallas. So the Eagles are going to be 7-2 by the time this weekend's over. Green Bay is in the final playoff spot. If they were to start today, they're 6-3, and they're on bye, allowing Jordan Love to get by. Now, they've got to win over the Rams, but Rams can pick off a win this week. Then they're 1 game back of the Packers in that wild card spot, but that's still kind of precarious, right? So it doesn't look like they're going to gain much ground going forward. The Rams have to win this week. Tampa is 4-4. I got to believe they're going to lose tonight, and they're going to fall to 4-5. Bears are 4-4, but they got that win over the Rams. Rams, by winning yesterday, leapfrogged the 49ers and Seahawks both at 4-4 with victories over them. And then when the Chiefs win tonight, the Rams should be able to leapfrog Tampa Bay, but the Bears will still be ahead of the Rams as the next team and as the 8th team, and that's not even a playoff berth there. So best path to the playoffs still remains the NFC West. All right, Joe Tarosian, I was a sports writer for 21 years, and now I do RamView thanks to our sponsors at Kistler Law and Temple City Auto, and of course, Bench the App. If you're tired of losing your fantasy games because you forgot to check your lineup, with Bench the App, that's a thing of the past. Benched is the only app that ensures you never leave a non-starting player in your lineup. Don't miss out on crucial points, and don't be the one who forgot to bench a player on game day. Win your league, keep your pride, and let Bench the App handle the rest. Download Bench the App today and dominate your fantasy season. Well, we get to do this show thanks to those sponsors and Kistler Law and everybody, but also I write books. My books are on Amazon. I sold my last copy of Game Day in the RamCave. I got to get some more. But you can buy them on Amazon. And this is my first book. It's called Tangent Dreams. It's a high school football novel. Did really well. Has some good reviews there. You want to check that out. We don't have a Patreon account. We don't hide behind a firewall. But everything you can do to help us with our sponsors and, of course, my books on Amazon, we are greatly appreciated. And it allows me to do my day job. I pastor a small church in Burbank called Burbank Faith Nazarene, and we're right here on YouTube at Burbank Faith Virtual and burbankfaithvirtual.com, Burbank Faith Virtual across social media. All right, we got that in. Let's see if some questions have rolled in. Let's see. Tim Burns, people bantering on here is awesome. You're getting clones, Joe T. Oh, man. All right. Living in CA, this is Brian Smith, is a personal problem, Burnsy. Steve Ramirez, Jerry Jones is Captain Benteen. Rams own SC, Tommy trying to act all nice. Tim Burns, let's see. I'm sorry. Where am I? Let's see. Rams. Okay, there we go. Tim Burns, speak, Brian. I'm a Tennessee bound because of it. Rams beat Miami. Tunas the Rams are going to win 38-28. I'll take it. Brian Smith, Huxley is fine tonight. Brian Smith, Harris Walsh by 7 million in California. Don't even bother voting if you're MAGA. Tim Burns, what is Dallas doing with Dak? Cooper Rush played a lot and not bad. Someone brought it up today. Cooper Rush a couple years ago played really well, but he still had a lot of people and talent around him to throw the ball to, right? He's got no one right now and a worse offensive line. So it's going to be curious to see what he does. I heard an argument for Trey Lance today. Brian Smith, my friends that moved out of CA are homesick. Rams own SC. Niners will lose to Lions, Bills. Niners will lose to Lions, Bills, Packers, Rams. Oh, preach. There you go. I'll take that. Brian Smith, I appreciate you, Joe. There you go. And Brian Smith, at Rams own, hope you're right. There you go. Tim Burns, Trump 312, Harris, it doesn't matter, already voted. Baby people die. Baby people died, so I could. Okay. Steve Ramirez, we have to root for Seattle now. Seahawks still played the Cards twice. Yes, we want that. We do. And I think I think there could be issues there in Seattle. They've lost 4 of their last 5. Is that what it is? They're 4-5. Yeah, they've lost 4 of their last. By the time the Rams get them in week 18, maybe the Seahawks are already thinking about 2025. Hopefully. Let's see. Brian Smith, Burnsy, we'll be having a different conversation come the next chat, pal. Tim Burns, we have to have a Cards tank job. The Cards, yeah, they're winning games they shouldn't be winning, and it's messing us up. All right. Hey, guys, I can't believe you guys are talking politics, and here I am. I think pretty much people know I'm pretty ultra-conservative, but I don't talk politics. This is RamView. Do what you want, though. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad I got an audience on Monday night at this time of night. Okay, I was looking at college football. I was taking a look at their top quarterbacks. I'm looking at Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, Garrett Nussmer, Drew Aller, Jalen Monroe, the kid from Indiana, Curtis Rourke. He's playing really well. I just haven't seen him make big-time throws. I've seen him. He looks like Bo Nix to me. If you guys have seen him play, tell me what you think. I was thinking it was Bo Nix. Shadur Sanders is probably the most talented, but I just don't want the circus that comes with him. I just don't. I like Cam Ward. I know people are saying he's not big enough, but I like Cam Ward. I like Cam Ward a lot. All right, my college football top 15. I didn't see any new teams play. I watched old teams. Oregon beat Michigan. I got Oregon at number 1. Georgia, number 2. Texas on bye, number 3. Miami, number 4. Ohio State, number 5. I don't like Ohio State, but I got them ahead of LSU, number 6. Penn State, I dropped to 7. I don't believe in Alabama. They're 8. Indiana, 9-0. 9-0, Indiana. I got them at 9. 10, Notre Dame. Clemson swallowed the jalapeno against Louisville. Missouri's on bye at 12. Army beat Air Force. They're 8-0. Kansas State, talk about swallowing the jalapeno, right? And same thing with Illinois. Kansas State lost to Houston. Illinois lost to Minnesota. Nebraska lost to UCLA. That's a happy win for Steve Ramirez there. And USC lost to Washington. And the world is crumbling around Lincoln Riley. AFC playoff picture. Chiefs 7-0, Bills 7-2. Those are locks. I think the Texans are okay in the AFC South now because the Colts needed that win last night. So the Texans have a 2-game lead in the AFC South. And then the Steelers, 6-2. And it starts getting real for the Steelers this back half of the year. Steeler fan Rob, who is being downpoured upon right now, he's going to need some help there because they're getting ready to play the Ravens and everybody else very, very soon. Ravens host Cincy this week. Ravens are 6-3, and that's going to be an interesting one, right? I'm tired of tough guy Joe Burrow, right? You ever see Joe Burrow in his interviews? He's all talking bad. It feels a little artificial to me. Chargers 5-3 host the Titans. That's a big one. Titans are not good. Chargers could go to 6-3. Broncos are 5-4. They go to KC next week. And, anything that Broncos are doing right now is gravy because I don't think anyone expected the Broncos to win 5 games at this point in the season. So good for them. Colts host Buffalo next week. They're going to fall to 4-6. I mentioned the Bengals and the Jets. The Jets go to Arizona next week, and they're 3-6, and everyone's thinking, hey, man, it's turning around for the Jets. I hope so. We need Aaron to do us a solid. And you know what? Aaron Rodgers has done some really good work out there in the desert when he was with the Packers, right? Maybe he can do some good work now. I talked about Njoku, tight end. I was going to talk about him here. I'm taking Noteboom off the trade market because I think the Rams might want to keep him as a depth piece. Atwell, I feel bad for him. He made a nice catch yesterday. I feel like he's a man without a country. I know the team likes him. I know Stafford likes him. You can see the interaction with them. But I don't know. Sounds like the Rams are going to ride with the team they have, and we'll see where they're at. Trade deadline is mañana, and we'll see where the Rams go. And last ad on Cam Kitchens, right? If you ever saw Pulp Fiction, heed the words of the wolf, right? Let's not start just yet getting all excited. Those picks that Cam Kitchens got had a lot to do with Geno. Kitchens did a great job, but let's remember he was essentially benched the last 2 weeks. I'm glad it was redemption. This is the kind of stuff he did when he was at Miami. He made big plays. He's a playmaker. And he wasn't supposed to be able to run real fast, but he cleared 103 yards pretty well. But just stuff to keep an eye on because I think it was Brian Smith that talked about us being bipolar. We're going to get real bipolar on Cam Kitchens because he has a lot of Taylor Rapp in him. Just, again, something to think about. Let's look at week 9 that just passed by. I'm 11-3. I had a really good run this week. Texans lost to the Jets. I lost that one. The Falcons won the Tony Casillas Bowl, 27-21. Drake London kind of aggravated that back injury a little bit by doing that headstand. Wasn't real wise on Drake's part. Ravens, Broncos, and the Joe Flacco Bowl. Baltimore ran away with it. The Troy Vincent Bowl, the Bills held on 30-27. So what does that tell me? Bills aren't as good or the Dolphins are better than we thought? I'm thinking both those teams are mortal. Saints, Panthers in the Sam Mills Bowl. Carolina wins 23-22, and they get Dennis Nolan out in NOLA. Bengals, Raiders in the Max Montoya Bowl, since he was all over them, 41-24. Chargers at Browns in the Eric Metcalf Bowl. The Bolts won that 27-10. Jameis Winston, man who fell to earth. They came back crashing. And again, the Browns defense held the Ravens in check. They held the Eagles in check, but they couldn't stop Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert, J.K. Dobbins. That's interesting about the Chargers because the Browns defense had been playing well. Taxkins Giants in the Sam Huff Bowl. Taxkins, that game was a little closer, but the Taxkins, when you see the Taxkins win these close games, it's a young team probably learning how to win. So at some point it's going to crash and burn, but they're doing well right now. Patriots at Titans. I picked the Patriots in this one. Titans won the Mike Vrabel Bowl 20-17. Mason Rudolph, right? That makes you excited. The Jim McMahon Bowl between the Cardinals and Bears. The Bears swallowed the jalapeno 29-9. That's bad. That's just bad. This is a bad look. Jaguars, Eagles. Jaguars played tough in the Gardner Minshew Bowl, but Philly held on. For everything we're talking about, the Slim Reapers catch, the Saquon Barkley play, the long touchdown run he had, that was still a 28-23 game. So the Eagles they're just kind of suspect, right? They're a little sus, right? Lions, Packers in the Tobin Rote Bowl. We took Detroit. Detroit won 24-14 outdoors. Jeff Kemp Bowl, Rams won 26-20. In the Gary Quazzo Bowl, Minnesota. We took Minnesota. I was rooting for the Colts. We took Minnesota. They won 21-13. Tonight, the Steve DeBerg Bowl. I wasn't going to pick against the Chiefs because it's the Chiefs, and Tampa's banged up. So I had a good run there. Looking at some of my stuff here, I'm looking at dates, not much. Orlando Pace turns 49 today. So wish Orlando Pace a happy birthday. Also, tomorrow, which we know is Election Day, I always remember this because I was a big Ram fan as a kid. Rams had all these holdouts in the summer of 80 because John Johnson came to the team from first-round pick out of Texas, and he got a massive contract, and Fred Dreyer and Brooks and Jack Youngblood and Bob Brzezinski, and I'm trying to remember who else. Well, they walked out of camp. Those guys all came back, but then on November 5th, which would be now 44 years ago tomorrow, Bob Brzezinski walked out again. He just walked out on the team, never played for the Rams again, didn't play in the playoff game, didn't come back, and he was a really good linebacker. This is the guy that replaced Isaiah Robertson, and the Rams ultimately traded him that following April before the draft to the Dolphins for 3 draft picks. They got 3 second-round picks for him. 1 second-round pick, 43rd overall, was Jim Collins out of Syracuse, right? That's a nice pick in 1981. He had a pretty good career. It's a little neck injury cost him. And then the other second-round pick was dealt to the Redskins. And the Redskins used that 69th overall pick to take Russ Grimm. Yeah, that would have helped. And then the other second-round pick was a 1982 pick that went to the Oilers, and they took Oliver Luck. And I think the Rams used that pick, that second-round pick they sent to the Oilers. I think that was the Mike Barber deal. Remember, tight end Mike Barber. Russ Grimm, I'm trying to remember what that deal was, how they moved that pick. Maybe it was 1982. I'm trying to remember. 1981. I think somehow I'm thinking Barry Redden was connected to that deal with Russ Grimm. Anyway, got it all out, got it all in. All right, I think we're good. Let's take a look at a couple of these things here. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Man, you guys put in a lot of questions here. Okay. What is Dallas going to do with that? Okay, my friend, that move, blah, blah, blah. Appreciate each other, right? Trump 312, blah, blah, blah. We have to root for the Seattle. Let's see. Man, boom, boom. Ramzone SC, Kamala. Steeler fan Rob, 24. Tim Burns, Trump is 45 and 47. Brian Smith, Burnsy started the political talk while whining about gas prices. I don't even consider California when it comes to politics, because even the Republicans in California are bad. California is just crazy. I just figure California is just crazy. Tim Burns, it's the 4th, November 4th. I got to think God, family, then Rams. Steve Ramirez, I saw Rourke live. He seems just a guy, nothing special. Really? I kept hearing about his athleticism, and I saw some of the highlights, but I'll go with you, Steve. Brian Smith. Okay, Brian Smith. Burnsy, check out the Jerry Falwell Jr. documentary, The Evangelicals, The Pool Boy. Highly recommend you watch with your family. Brian Smith, Joe T. Oh, boy. Yeah, sorry, Brian. That's who I am. And, I guess you consider me an evangelical, but we can talk football. There we go. Okay, guys. Hey, we got 58 minutes in, and you dogs stuck with me. I so appreciate that. I really do, because I didn't expect to have anybody come on and wait for me. But Brian, Steve, Burnsy, Rams and SC out there in South Carolina, Steeler fan Rob, Mike Negretti, all you guys, Tribe, all you guys. I appreciate all you guys clicking on. Tommy Huxley. If I miss anybody, I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you. Rod, all you for hanging with me and talking Ram football. Sorry I was on late, but we are going to be back on Wednesday. Hey, just remember, election outcome or not, Jesus reigns. All right? Jesus reigns. God bless. Take care. See you soon.